So I just finished watching Tomorrow is Yesterday. This was an alright episode. It had a lot of really great things in it. It had a lot of just kind of blah things in it. It's a time travel episode. So the beginning of it was actually pretty interesting. That we start out in a military base in the 1960s, and they pick up a blip on the radar, and it's the Enterprise. Okay, that's a cool opening. And there were a lot of great little gags throughout this whole episode. But that's what it felt like. It was just a series of gags. It felt like I was watching an episode of Family Guy, which I personally hate. I really, really dislike Family Guy. And that's what I was getting from this. It was like, there was all this setup to nothing. They want to bring some pilot on board, and they got to return him, but they don't want to return him because he may, have knowledge of the future or whatever. That was kind of dumb. I get, okay, we brought somebody on board, let's figure out what to do. But there was all this worry, like, he's going to ruin the future because he saw the transporter room and the bridge and the captain's quarters and a hallway. Okay, so he saw like 4 things. It's not like anybody explained anything to him. They didn't tell him how transporters worked. That technology is hundreds of years in the future from this guy. So it's not like he could even feasibly say, oh yeah, they had this thing and this how it worked. It didn't make sense there. Why they were so concerned about sending him back. If he had knowledge of some future war that, he could have prevented or something. There was none of that. It was just like, yep, he saw the captain's quarters. Big friggin' deal. I couldn't buy that. Same sort of thing when Kirk and Sulu beam down to Earth and they're going to try to erase these tapes and whatnot. A lot of funny stuff happens, and that was enjoyable to watch. But again, why? There just didn't seem to be any purpose behind anything going on. It was just a lot of silliness. I'd honestly say besides the man trap, I think this is the weakest episode I have seen so far. The updated special effects looked pretty good for what they updated. But there was several scenes with Spock's ears. So Leonard Nimoy wears prosthetic ears. And you can see where the rubber meets flesh. There was no makeup blending. It was really, really obvious. That was a huge eyesore. Like I kept like looking at that. I was like, oh, it's so ugly. Why didn't they go back in with the computer technology they have today and just blend it? That's not a tough thing. I can do that at home with Adobe. It's not a really difficult thing to do. Those are the little things that I feel they should be spending the time on when they did the upgrades. So, yeah. This episode, I don't think I would really watch it again. And I wouldn't recommend it either. It had some funny jokes, but nothing that I think was really worth it. Nothing that made me laugh really loud. So, yeah, there we have it. It was a blah episode. And I personally am not recommending this one. But hey, you know what? There are some people out there who like time travel stories. And they like the alternative stories that you can do with that. If that's your thing, then definitely watch this. Like if you're a fan of the Terminator, especially like the TV series, if you're a fan of Farscape with the time travel stuff they did in that, and that got really silly and funny in that show, but it also had a lot of payoff. Go ahead and watch this one. But for the casual viewer, skip it. So, I have talked enough about this episode, and I will see you all later.